Hey Tubies, it's Psychic Bob. Woo! Well, here we are. It's Saturday. Look where I am. I'm back at Mom's. Yeah, everything's fine. I just came back to help with some stuff. So I'm sorry I didn't get out a video yesterday. I know you guys were worried. I had a really bad day. I don't want to go into all of it, but basically all my schedule got turned around. I had to change everything at last minute. Then there were train delays. I didn't get here till late last night, and I was tied up at the train station all day yesterday, so I didn't get a video out. So I'm sorry about that, but hopefully I'll make it up to you while I'm down here. I'm going to be here a while, and we'll go do some beach trips and some more exciting stuff. So forgive me for not getting out UFO Friday. We'll have some fun stuff this week to make up for. Is that okay? Well, yay. I'm glad you're here. Well, we are going to continue on with our Spiritualist class today. By the way, it is just really hot. I got a fan going. It is scorching out. I was out walking under the Sun Lord earlier. So beautifully bright and clear, but it's really hot. But I put on my sun shirt today. Usually I wear this on Sunday, but today I'm just feeling the solar energy. And also I'm wearing my beautiful blue cross. Now some of you asked about this blue cross. This is called a cat's eye cross. In fact, I'll take it off. This is a stone that's been cut and carved, and it's blue cat's eye. So if you're looking for a cross like my life, you said, I want a cross like that, where do you get it? I bought this, I think, on Etsy, either Etsy or eBay. They sell them on both. But look up cat's eye cross, and you'll notice how it bends the light. I don't have the best lighting in here, but it's really beautiful, and it's a blue color. And blue crosses are one of the traditional symbols of the Spiritualist movement. So I like to wear my blue cross. Anyways, we're going to continue with our class. And for those of you who are new here, this is something we do each Saturday. We're having a teachings on spiritualism, and then we have a seance. So after this, we're going to sit and do a seance session. So please stay with us, okay? Well, anyways, I'm glad you're here. Listen, pull your chairs up here. Let's have our little circle. If you were here in the house with me, which in a sense you are virtually, I want you to put your chairs here in a little circle around me, and we're gonna do some more discussion. Now, we've been working on this book, and you might want to get this book. I'm not being endorsed by Sylvia Browne's corporation, but I love this. Sylvia Browne's book. It's called Mystical Traveler, and I'm teaching from this right now. I also have coming a Spiritualist manual. I finally found one, and so we'll be having more on the Spiritualist manual as well, probably next week. But for right now, we're working on this book because this is a Spiritualist book. So I wanted to do a little reading here for you, and we're going to talk about this, okay? So, oops, I got to clean my glasses. I can't see what I'm doing. Anyways, what's it like where you guys are today? Is it really hot? I'm here in Virginia on the East Coast. Oh, it is like in the 90s, maybe close to 100. But it's kind of a dry heat. It's not really that humid, so it's not too bad. I like it, though. Alright, so we're going to continue on, and if you haven't seen this book before, you might want to check the last 2 weeks. We did classes from this book and catch up, okay? Alright. We're going to continue on. It says here, as they go through all levels. Now, last week we talked about the various levels you move through, and I'm not going to go through all that, but these are levels of recognizing you're a mystical traveler, accepting the mantle, and following your calling, okay? So, and it says, as they go through the levels, all mystical travelers will have a gold star appear where their so-called third eye is. It's not a visible marking, but rather something recognizable to the soul. Now, I want to stop there because this is amazing, because I can tell you, before I ever read this book, I had an experience one time of doing meditation, and I was working with my third eye, and I saw the most deep, beautiful, like a dark, vibrant blue, like a dark blue, like a cobalt blue, but dark, and I saw a golden star in my third eye. It almost became like a window. So I was really amazed that she discussed this, because I can actually validate that's true. So as you're, developing, you may have that experience of a gold star, and that's a sign of a mystical traveler. Okay, now as she said, not everybody's going to see it. Don't think, oh, I got this gold star, I'm bragging. Nobody's going to see it, but it's between you and God, but you know it's there. Okay. Sylvia goes on and writes, says, there's nothing uniform about these entities, talking about mystical travelers. They're not just tall, short, or dark, or light-skinned people, and they can be of any race, religion, creed, sex, or even sexual preference. Yet, while there is no discernment in physical makeup or background, you can spot them by how they live their lives as an example for others. Let's stop right there. You know, this is really spiritualist in keeping with spiritualist teachings, because I've heard people say in the spiritualist church, we believe in deeds, not creeds. You see, because you know a lot of churches, they get all wrapped up into what you believe. Spiritualism doesn't really get so defined about what you believe. They're more interested in how you live what you believe. So they're saying is we believe in deeds, not creeds. And this is really true, because people that are spiritual travelers live it. It's not something they go around talking about. They just do it, you know. Now, some have converged, I'm going to continue on here. Now, some have converged in the same parts of the world. It used to be the coastlines that drew them, but more come in or awaken to a spiritual realization. They've begun to move all across the continents. Now, I'm going to stop there. The reason why I think that's interesting is because I do think that many mystical travelers are drawn to seaside environments. And I think that that really goes back to our, tapping into our past lives. So many of us remember the formation of the world. Believe it or not, a lot of us were there. We were there, souls at the beginning. We remember coming into the earth. You know, many ancient Lemurians had a time where they were part in the spirit world and then part in the earth plane. And some of us were Atlanteans. Like, I'm a reincarnated Atlantean. I've also been a Lemurian. So I have a lot of memories deep within of that sea connection. But Sylvia says that now people are moving all across the continents and not necessarily being on the coast. She goes on, she writes, there's no special age requirement to become a mystical traveler either. For example, I didn't accept the mantle until I was 50. Yet I believe that such an individual's existence is almost set up for it. For example, like so many of you, I've always tried to live a good life by teaching, helping people, taking responsibility, and loving God. As I touched on before, if you're only taking care of family and friends and trying to bring about harmony and truth, even on a small scale, then you're on the level of a mystical traveler. Isn't that wonderful? So you see, this is interesting about the age, because I've been doing spiritual work since I was a teenager. But like Sylvia, I didn't actually take a mystical traveler vow until I was 40. I waited till later in life. So I'm now 50, so I've only been a mystical traveler officially for about 10 years now. Now, was I kind of on the way to that? Yes, because I started working as a psychic as a teenager. And many of you know I did haunted house investigations. And as I grew older, I joined the Spiritualist movement and worked in the Spiritualist church. And so I wasn't fully a mystical traveler, but at around age 40 is when I took on the mantle. Sylvia didn't take it on until 50. And you know what's really interesting? If you look at Sylvia Browne's life, you know, she was very well known when she was in her 40s, back in the 1970s. I used to watch her on, like, That's Incredible and Unsolved Mysteries back in the 1970s. But it wasn't until the 1980s that she took on the mystical traveler mantle. And once she took that on, her career skyrocketed. It's like the Spirit said, now she's ready. See, I have a belief that I think mystical travelers, in a sense, have to kind of go through their training before they take on that mantle. And so the early years for many mystical travelers, though are very spiritual, it takes time to develop that awareness and that ability to say yes to God, you see. And like she says here, even if you're just taking care of family and friends, she said, you're already working as a mystical traveler. And you know, I can tell you, because with my mom in the nursing home, I have watched the staff. So many of them work overtime shifts. Sometimes they don't even get paid for it. but they love the patients. My mom's very fortunate because she's at a nursing home where they're really top-notch. And she's even said she's amazed because she knows about some of her friends that have been in nursing homes and some of the, horror stories that happen. But I really believe that my mom is being surrounded by either mystical travelers or people that are certainly on their way to becoming it. So I think it's wonderful, So don't think, that you have to just quit your job and be a psychic like me. You serve God wherever you are. And you ask God if you can have the chance to serve. Believe me, the spirit world, God, infinite intelligence, they'll give you the opportunity. So it's not impossible to become a mystical traveler. Okay? But as I said, a lot of times there's pre-training that goes into that. Okay? Francine, now Francine is Sylvia's spirit guide. Francine says that you never hear of these advanced souls losing their minds or being prone to depression for very long as their sensitivity to others doesn't get the best of them. To take the oath is certainly not easy, but it's always done through free will choice. Now see, this is true because, and I'm not saying this to be critical, but I've seen a lot of people, even in the spiritual community here, who are always in a state of depression. And, when you become a mystical traveler, you become so infused, I think, with that divine power, that light, that it brings healing on so many levels. And so, look at your life and consider, maybe you're being called to being a mystical traveler. Maybe some of your struggles and your depression are because you haven't yet embraced that reality. Maybe you're being called to it. Now, I'm not saying being a mystical traveler makes your life instantly, happy-go-lucky and never have a problem. No, but there is a power. There is a power that is infused in those of us who take on that mantle. Okay? So I want you to think about that. Are you being called to being a mystical traveler? See, taking on that oath, and we'll go over how to actually do the oath a little later, but take on the oath is not a joke. It's a very serious eternal commitment. And so when you do that, you're saying God's will be done. And for many of us, that's a scary prospect. I know for a long time, when I was in my 30s, I heard the voice of Spirit calling me to service, and I kept pushing it. I kept saying, I don't want to give in to God's will because I just knew that if I did, I'd be in. That saying, in for a penny, in for a pound. Well, that would have been heaven. And once I got 40, I realized that just give it up. Just give it all to God. And I left the corporate world. I left, my life, and I became a full-time spiritual worker. And as Sylvia says here, it's not easy to make that realization and to take that. It takes a lot of focus and concentration, a lot of prayer. But once you do it, you're free. And it's our free will. God will never push you into that. So don't be afraid of, that somehow God's going to take everything from you. But if He does, you won't care because you'll be so united. All right, let's read some more. Can mystical travels falter? Of course they can. Take Jesus at Gethsemane. When He asked God to remove the pain and ordeals that He knew He would have to endure. We're pretty sure that the answer was no, because being the ultimate mystical traveler, Christ replied to His Father, "Thy will be done." Now, do you remember that in the Bible? Those of you maybe you haven't read the Bible, but there's a story in the Bible where right before the day before Jesus is crucified, like He knew that He was going to be taken away and crucified. He was warned. He went to the Garden of Gethsemane. It's a beautiful garden on a hillside. And He started praying. He said, I know what's coming. It's going to be bad. I don't know if I want to do it. I'm thinking about maybe not doing it. But see, Jesus had already committed to being a mystical traveler. And because He committed to being a mystical traveler, he couldn't go back on it. And so because he couldn't, go back, Father said, you made the oath, you're stuck with it. And we know that Jesus went through and gave an example of selfless sacrifice that has changed the whole world, All right, so, oops, I lost my spot here. Okay. Yet, as they progress through life, mystical travelers receive all kinds of bonuses, such as protection, more insight, or the gift of prophecy, and even healing, for being who they are and for sending out such positive energy, such as through light columns. Okay? So let's stop right there. So the mystical travelers, yeah, it's a hard road, but you do get a lot of gifts. You get protection, more insight, and the gifts of maybe even prophecy or healing. And that's given because you send out all that energy. You will never use your spiritual gifts in service of humanity that you will not get help in some way. One of the things that happens in my life is whenever I need something, whether it's money, whether it's a ride somewhere, whether it's, whatever, it always comes to me. And I have that confidence. It's not arrogance, it's not like assumption. It's like I know that I will get what I need because of the work that I do. So when you take on that mantle, yeah, it's a big commitment, it's a lot of work, but know that your needs will be met also. Now she talks about sending out positive energies, such as columns of light. Let's talk about that. Let's go on. Of course, mystical travelers are not the only ones who can do this, which is simply the practice of consciously planting sparkling light columns from the Holy Spirit by affirming the following. And this is what you got to say. Wherever I walk, I will step and plant a column of light that reflects the Holy Spirit and depletes all darkness and negativity. Isn't that amazing? So as you're walking, you can leave columns of light that come from your footprints. And whoever passes through them will be healed, blessed, and uplifted. Sylvia goes on and writes, she says, in the mornings I leave these columns on stairs, on the street, in hotel rooms, in offices, and wherever else I go, when I put the white light of the Holy Spirit around me. Isn't that beautiful? So every day, even with people we may not be able to talk to directly, we can impact them by giving them the gift of the light of the Spirit. I think this is beautiful. And so you might want to meditate on that. Just visualize, consciously choose a location and visualize a beautiful sparkling white or silver. I always see the silver and white column of light forming, and that people can pass through it. It won't stop them, but it'll bless them. You can plant those around to help people on their way. Isn't that wonderful? Well, I'm going to leave you with those thoughts today. I hope this has been insightful. If you want to get this book, I'd encourage you to check over at Amazon.com. I'm not being endorsed, or eBay, and get this book, Sylvia Browne's Mystical Traveler. We're going to be covering more, next week on that. Well, guys, it's time for our seance. So get comfortable in our little circle here, and we're going to see what Spirit has. So stay with us, and we're going to get ready for that. Thanks for being at our class today. Blessed be. Hey, Tubies. Well, here I am with my little buddy Grizzly. Oh, he's so happy I'm here. We've been playing all morning. Well, we're at the point of our show now. I'm going to put him down here. We're going to have our seance. And for those of you who are new to spiritualism, I am what's called a trance channel. That's spelled T-R-A-N-C-E, which means I go into a trance and spirits overshadow my consciousness and they speak through me. And it's always fascinating. I tell people I'm as amazed by what comes through as you do. Now, for those of you who haven't seen it, don't be worried. I'm fine. I'm not in any pain or distress. It may look a little strange, a little different, but really it's like I'm asleep. You know how, like, people ask me, what's it like? I always say, well, you know, like when you're watching a TV show, you're laying on the sofa, and you're just drifting on, you're kind of following the show, and you hear voices, but you don't really know. That's what it's like for me. It's like I'm just in the background, this stuff's happening, I don't know. So I always have to go back and watch the tape afterwards and see what came through. So we're going to have our seance. Well, what I think we'll do is we're going to dim the lights here. You know, if you do channeling and seance work, you want to find a room that is kind of quiet. So I've got this little den area, and I'm going to take the lights down. We're going to dim the lights, and I'm going to take this light down. Let's see how that works. Okay. You want to have soft lighting or minimal lighting. You can even do channeling in pitch black rooms. But I like to work in a subdued light. So I'm going to settle down, go into trance, and we'll see what happens. So come on along. If you were here with me in person, which in a sense you are, I'd say pull your chairs up. We're going to form a little circle. All right, so we're having a little seance. Thanks for being here. I'll see you when I get back. Yes, Fletcher, I do believe we have achieved communion with the body. Fletcher, will you assist with the vibration that my voice will be transmitted clearly? Good evening to all of you. My name is Alfred. I am speaking to you through this medium, but in my normal state I reside in the world of spirit. In the spirit world there are many souls, and they're all growing and learning. In the spirit world our goal is emergence with infinite intelligence. Infinite intelligence is the power, the force that you know as God. But over here we prefer the term infinite intelligence. For the divine, the Godhead, the All, is beyond the mere term of God. Even the various names of individual deities are limiting compared to what it truly is. Know that in the spirit world, your conception of God you may well meet with. For here your consciousness attains your level of vibration, and you will interact with the divine truly in a sense on your own terms. For those who come from the traditional Christian church backgrounds, you most likely when you come here meet Jesus the Christ, as well as God the Father. Know that the great Christ, the Ascended One, is honored here by all faiths. He truly is merged with the Father. The Father is the infinite being of all light. But when we use the term Father, do not confuse it, for Mother is also appropriate. Some souls who come here meet God as Goddess, and for them this brings great joy. Know that in your time on the earth is through. You will meet the God that you have honored throughout your life. For those who do not have a belief in God, those who are atheists or agnostic, they will encounter the divine as a gentle, loving light that will answer their questions. They may not see God as a person, for God is a person and yet is beyond a person. How does one conceptualize infinite intelligence? It is beyond any definition that even I can provide. Those of us who live in the spirit world Know that each day we are moving upwards. Eternal progression is our lot here. In the earth, people quest for money and power, and they believe that this is upward mobility. But in the spirit world, none of that carries any weight. You may have been the wealthiest person on earth. You may have had millions and millions of pounds or dollars in your bank account. But when you come here, you will have $0 and £0. What you will bring with you to the spirit world is a heart that is full of love, or a heart that is empty and devoid of love. And it is that heart that will be your wealth here. There are many souls in the spirit world who are forgotten on the earth. They were unloved, they were poor, they were of the lower classes. But in the heavenly realms, they are saintly and glow with a brilliance that you cannot understand. It is because though they lack the things of the material world, they did not close their heart to love. In a sense, material privation is sometimes a blessing. In your world, many people dread the thought of losing money. They said, if I lose my home, if I lose my bank account, I will be nothing. But it would be better that you lose these things and discover that you have love within yourself. Infinite intelligence with some humans deals harshly, at least by material standards. No, my dears, let me explain. It is not that God sits upon a throne throwing lightning bolts and trying to destroy you. But in the mind of infinite intelligence, it is the will of the Divine Father and Mother that say we want to bring our child home to us eventually. And sometimes it requires tough love, and one will see that one will suddenly lose everything in the material world. And for some souls, this loss is the only thing that will awaken them from their enamored state. People upon the earth are enamored with money, power, prestige, luxury. But in the spirit world, they're enamored with the heart of love. Your heart here will be of solid gold, or it may be black as coal. When I was on the earth, I had the beginnings of a heart of gold. It was shown to me in my life review. And yet I abandoned it for the pleasures of flesh, and my heart turned to a charcoal cinder. And when I came here, I was, as I've told many of you, received into the place of darkness. The place of darkness is for those who have shut a light out of their spirit. You know that the human spirit is naturally made of light, but that light, by your choices, can become clouded and dim to where there is no light, and you are black, wasted coal with a heart of coal and bitterness. I don't say this to scare you nor to condemn you, but I come to awaken you to the fact that each day you have the ability to raise your vibration. Love is the power of the spirit world. Love will create reality here for you that is unlike any luxury that you can experience. On the earth you must have fine automobiles. Some of you have Mercedes and Rolls Royces. These things are not bad in and of themselves. But when you shut your heart to love in order to acquire them, then they become a problem. They become the weight that weighs the soul. As I've said, there are many souls here who in the earth plane accounted for little, but now in the spirit world, they are great beings of celestial power. I have been most fortunate, for I did not totally shut out the light from my soul, though it was greatly, and though I do have greatly dimmed. Salvation in our world is based on how much you have loved. You will not be asked by the divine infinite intelligence how much wealth you acquired. You will be asked simply the question, how have you loved? And if you have taken this task to heart, and you will be able to answer, I loved the best that I could, and it will not be a lie. No one here can lie to infinite intelligence, nor to anyone else. All things are known. Your vibration is clear and obvious to all. And we don't say that to give you scare or fear. It's not that you walk around in a state of shame. No, but you will attain the level of glory to which you are entitled. There are realms even above me that are so brilliant and vast that I cannot comprehend it. And yet, I know that eventually I shall attain them as well. I am most fortunate to be freed from the darkness of purgatory. That place is a place of expiation, but one need not go there if one will remember one's original love. You are created with a heart of love to love your fellow humans and to love infinite intelligence. It is very simple to attain the light of the spirit world. All that is required is that you be aware of who you are, where you come from, and you live each day in love. And so if you walk in that light, you have peace, joy, and success. As I said, I do not come to condemn nor judge, but to encourage. I encourage each of you to let us help you. If you will allow us to work with you, we will give you opportunities. We will awaken your mind to realities that will allow you to love again. Some of you I know are saying this very day, you say, but Alfred, you don't know the pain I've been through. I've been destroyed by people on the earth. I want nothing to do with them. I trust no one. I love no one. My dear, it is true that humans can do immense cruel things to each other. But ever more so the reason why one must love, to bring balance back to the earth. If you have been horribly abused and neglected and maltreated, then you are an ambassador for love. You have entered into the war zone where love does not exist. And so be the light and be the love. You may say, but Alfred, how can I do this? All it requires is a simple thought. Offer a prayer for those who have been cruel to you. You do not have to let them into your life to abuse you. But if you will offer a prayer for them, you will begin them on the road to recovery. You will not understand until you return to our world how those little prayers add up. Not only do they bring light to the soul in question, but they will illumine your own soul. It is an act of spiritual mercy to pray for your enemies. It is wonderful to pray for those that you love as well. But that is an easier task. To pray for those who persecute you is truly the work of divine infinite intelligence. Let infinite intelligence give you the power. You may say, but Alfred, I do not have the words to pray. I wouldn't know where to begin. Think of the kindest thing that you could say to someone, and say it to infinite intelligence on behalf of that person. For example, if you were to say to somebody, you look very nice today, you're dressed very finely, then perhaps you could say to infinite intelligence, infinite light, shine upon that person today, that they may look beautiful as if they had fine clothes, so that their soul will be like the finest designer clothes. You see how simple that prayer is. It is a prayer that would accomplish much. Fletcher's asking me to step from the body. There are other people who wish to speak. But I leave with you the thought today that you do not walk alone, that our world is with you, and you are a part of infinite intelligence. Let that light shine through you, and blessed you will be. My name is Alfred. Oh, there we go. This is Fletcher. Give us just a moment. We got to adjust the medium's vibration. think we got old Rose will be wanting to come in here. Give us just a moment. All right, Rose, the medium's vibration stable. You can step in the body. This is Fletcher over and out. Oh, my dears, there we are. Oh, Fletcher, thank you so much for facilitating my visit here. And I want to say thank you to all of you who have come to be with us today. Those of us in the spirit world, we wait for the opportunity to come, to visit, to be of service. I was listening to dear Alfred, and I could not help but say that I do very much agree with him. Every day you have the chance to build wealth in the spirit world. You know, once you achieve enough love in your heart, then you can create from that love. And think of the most beautiful thing you can imagine, and know that over here you can create it with your mind and your heart. People say to me, Rose, what beautiful diamonds you wear. And I say, yes, but they were created through much perseverance. I had to let go of bitterness to achieve that power. I had to love my neighbor, and even more so, I had to love my enemies, as Alfred was saying. And once I learned to begin to do that, suddenly I had the power of creation here, and through my thought processes, I could mold diamonds into reality. We shape things first here in our mind, and then they come into physical being. Well, I suppose as physical as one could be in the spirit world. The difference between the material world and the spirit world is one of vibration. Over here, things are at a much higher frequency, and therefore they glow with a brilliant light and have a fineness that does not exist on earth. You could take the finest china, the most beautiful china plate on earth, a beautiful Wedgwood, and when you compare it to a similar plate in the spirit world, it would be very obvious to you the difference between spiritual light and material light. Oh, they're both very fine, but the difference is that the spiritual created plate has a luminescence that no earthly amount of power can generate. And so I invite each of you today, let that light shine through you. Learn to work with it while you're on the earth. And if you let the earth light work through you, then you will master it. And when you come here with a heart full of love, then you shall have success. I know today there are many of you out there who are waiting and saying, but Rose, I've suffered such tragedies. I don't want to let anybody in my life, and I don't have any interest in the spirit world. Some of you think that gold has abandoned you, and that our world has abandoned you. My dears, you're never walking alone. If your spirit guide does not make themselves clear to you, give them that information. Say, I call upon you, yet I never hear from you. And you will suddenly find that they find a way to break through that impasse. Know also that the angels are with you, guarding you. If you have fear of communicating with our world, certainly you can at least trust a holy angel. The angels will guard you and make your communications easier and protect you from, oh dare I say, the riffraff. Oh yes, my dears, it's quite embarrassing to say, but even in our world, there are some of the lower energies and lower vibrations. We call them riffraff over here. You know, the difference is that we know that even the riffraff eventually will attain enlightenment. Or the earth world, in the earthly world, I should say, many people write off the riffraff and say, oh, the riffraff, they'll never change. And unfortunately, it's probably true that in the material world it's much more difficult. But over here, the light of infinite intelligence shines even on the most evil and lower beings, especially on them, with love and mercy and wisdom and compassion. And so if we can, as Alfred said, say a little prayer each day, and a little prayer often will bring light to someone. And so do not just distress yourself. Say, well, how would I love that evil person who's abused me, or attacked me, or hated me? My dear, you cannot, in your natural self, instantly love anyone. But if you become a channel, a vessel of the Spirit, a vessel of infinite intelligence, your powers increase manyfold, and then you shall move into the realm of light. Begin today, as Alfred has encouraged you, with a little prayer. Think something good and pray for someone, and especially for those who you really least want to pray for. And then you will be free in your soul. To pray for your enemies not only protects you from that evil, it liberates you from the bonds of hatred, and eventually sows the very seeds of love. It is true what Jesus said. My vicar in the Church of England used to say, pray for your enemies, love those who persecute you. I must say, I did not do such a good job on earth at that. But infinite intelligence illumines our mind and lets us see where we're perhaps have a shortfall, a shortcoming. And rather than condemn us, infinite intelligence lifts us up. So let infinite intelligence lift you to our world, and know that you walk in the light of Spirit. Each day, and my dears, please remember, each day is a day for you to learn to love. Some days, my dears, it will be much more difficult. I do not lie to you, but the effort will pay off manyfold. And someday, when you return to our world, you will see the beauty of your heart. As Alfred spoke of the golden heart, develop that golden heart now. Let it shine. Let it be who you are. That is your real wealth in the spirit world. Fletcher says the medium's power is waning. I don't wish to tax his body, but I am so very thankful that our medium has allowed us to come and speak through him. And we send to each of you our light and our love from the spirit world. As the power is starting to fade now, please know that you can call upon me. And you say, Rose, call upon me. Oh, the power's going and fading. Hello. Well, guys, I'm back from trance. I always feel so blessed when the Spirit channels through me, and the Spirit guides are lovely. Listen, I hope you've enjoyed this class and this seance today, and if you have, please help me out. Like this video, favorite it, share it with your friends, post it on Facebook, put it wherever. Let's get the word out about the work we do at Spirit Channel. And that's one way you can be a mystical traveler, by helping people to awaken to spiritual light. I have enjoyed it immensely being with you. Listen, as I said, like this, favorite it, and hit subscribe. Be part of our community. We'd love you to be here. And if you want some more spiritual help, definitely, as I said earlier, get this book, Mystical Traveler. We're going to be covering it each week. And also, if you want, pop over to my website. I have a lot of books there. I have my one book. I don't have it here with me, but Messages from Rose. Wonderful book about my work as a channel. You might enjoy that. And we have a lot of other books, so definitely check it out. You guys are best. I love you. Blessings to all of you. Listen, keep it here. We're going to be back here tomorrow on Sunday because we got the witching hour. 8 p.m. Eastern U.S. time. Be here. We're going to have a live broadcast, and we're going to take questions on Wicca and talk about all things magical. Make sure to be here. I love you guys. Blessings to you. We'll see you tomorrow for the witching hour. Thanks for being here today, and until tomorrow, may you always blessed be.